Good evening, everybody. Matrix here, and here is my watch list for February 9th. All right, taking a look at the futures right now, we had a nice pullback day today, and the futures, we are gapping down ever so slightly. As you can see, I have quite a few resistance and support lines mapped out here. I will zoom in a little bit to show you what these are. So this is the daily chart, okay? We have just snapped down under this interim uptrend here, this short-term uptrend for a pullback day. Now going into the intraday right here, okay, the 5-minute chart, we are gapping down ever so slightly from midnight right here, and I do believe that we will have one more down day, like a pullback day. As you can see with these two resistance areas, I've marked off at 2695 and basically the 2700. Okay, so my theory is as long as the price is holding under the zone, this resistance zone, then we will continue to come downwards and perhaps test this bottom level first and then maybe even get down even more. Now this bottom support level, this is at 2685 area, which is today's lows. Okay, now let me zoom out a little bit and I'll show you how I mapped out this resistance zone. You see this line right here, this 2695 area, this bottom, how it held for the past few days, basically on the 3rd, on the 1st, on the 4th. So it did test a few times this bottom here, right? The support line. And it basically just snapped right now. So prior support now becomes resistance, and we have a very concise resistance zone. Let me zoom back out a little bit further back. The next area we're looking to hit is basically, let's see if I can get this here. Okay, 2685. See where the highs of this is. Yeah, so around the 2685 area, there's a lot of prior resistance, which is now support, which is today's support right here in the bottom here. So I do expect a little bit more of a pullback. So how does this look like on the SPY? Ooh. Let me get the SPY in here real quick. Okay, so this is a 5-minute chart of the SPY for the past 10 days, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyways, we are currently we're around this area right now, according to the futures. All right. So I want to see a pop into the 269 area and hold that and then fail and then retest the lows of this 268. As you can see, if this snaps 268, the next level we're watching is right here at 266.70s. Okay. And that's basically it. I'm looking for one more pullback day, maybe a pop into the 270. It might get as high as 270 here and pullback. So let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Nice key psychological whole number. This area 269.5. We're a little bit under. So let's mark this off right here for you. All right. So currently, according to the futures, we're sitting around this area. So I want to see a pop and drop and for another pullback day. Let's take a look at the daily chart. Okay. Now, the daily chart, we closed a little bit above the 100 SMA and a little bit above the 90 MA as well. So what I want to see is a drop out of the gates, test, and then fail, bring the whole market down to the VWAP area if possible, maybe 266.50s, right? Okay, so that's my thesis on the overall market, which would cause the market leading stocks to move like the way they do tomorrow. So if you're trading something like the FANG stocks, that's the type of thesis that you'll be watching for. However, I do have 4 other tickers here on my watch list this evening. EA is once again in play. The relative volume is still intact. Okay, we had a massive push day today once again. I'd like to mention that ever since they had bad earnings reaction, the stock has been on SSR. Okay, so now that it has been 48 hours, I believe it comes out of SSR tomorrow, and it definitely has a chance to sell now. As you can see, this little retracement looks very bullish, so I'm not going to deny the fact that it can go both ways. We're coming into some very key resistance level here at the on the daily chart, like for example the 85, which is a key psychological whole number. 85.50 is where it topped out today, and then we also have the 86 mark, which is the bottom of this wick candle right here. Okay, and as well as 86, you can see prior support and then prior support as well right here. So we're coming into a lot of resistance. The stock is coming out of SSR tomorrow, so it's free for all to short. Okay, as you can see on the 5-minute chart or on the 15-minute chart here, I've mapped out some Fibonacci retracement levels. Okay, so zooming in, it's basically pull down here from the highs to the lows. Okay, and interestingly enough, if I zoom out a little bit, the levels match pretty well for support and resistance. So for example, this yellow line is the 50%. So yesterday it topped out over here at around the 81.50s, right? It literally just ramped from this 78.50 area. Okay, today it topped out over here at the 85.70s, 85.50s area, right? This candle high, 85.60s, right? And then pulled back, and then now it's holding the 50% area around the 83.5, right? What I want to mention is this 200 SMA though, and the reason why I think it's going to pull back tomorrow, and it's going to double top. This 200 SMA on the 15-minute chart, I'm looking for a double top basically right around here, this 2 double top, and then look for rejection signal to short. Now this 200 SMA, we scroll back a little, you'll see how well on the 15-minute chart this the stock follows this 200 SMA, right? Right around here, I believe. And then let's zoom out a little bit more, right here, and right here, and also right here where it ran, right? So I'm pretty sure if I scroll back even more, that's how far, that's the most I can go back. But we are coming into the 200 SMA tomorrow, which is right at the 86 whole number mark. So I'll be looking for a little pop and drop for the double top. After hours, we are coming up. We are popping a little bit after hours. You can see people, this chart is looking bullish and people are buying in late, right? So they are expecting some overnight holding, overnight swing traders. And I think they might sell into the first pop here, especially here at the double top 85.50. So watch for that. As far as support level, I mean, this VWAP is a nice support level that we had today. It's also a nice Fibonacci retracement point, the 50%, and then probably around here, around the 83 as well. So from 85.50 or 86, bring it all the way down, you get 3 points. We have high relative volume. It's still in play. We still have the catalyst in play as well. The reason why it ran these 2 days, I believe it's because, first of all, this gap down is pretty overreacted. Second of all, we are on SSR. And then third, people follow fibs, right? So according to the fibs, it's working. Everything looks bullish and people are trying to buy back in. But I'm not going to ignore the fact that this drop here, this is the major big boy trend. All right, and I believe the big boys are waiting for the stock to come back up so they can hammer it back down. If I scroll back a little bit on the daily chart here, we have a major downtrend, like a super downtrend. So there really is no reason for the stock to be able to get back up just yet. I don't think the market overall sees the stock being able to get back up to the highs here. It's overall in downtrend, and if you're looking at the macro picture, it's just a big bear flag in my opinion. So I'll be looking for a short tomorrow. EA. Next up, we have ATVI, Activision. Now, Activision is basically the same, kind of like the same thing as EA, right? They dumped in sympathy of EA. And once again, overall on the daily chart, this is on the major downtrend, right? As you can see right here. Okay, so we are coming into some key levels here. Let's take a look at the $44 mark. All right, nice whole psychological number, as well as today's highs, which is around the 44.30s. Now, I am really pissed about today where I missed this double top right here and here at the 44.40s. Like, the risk was perfect. If you're looking on the intraday chart here, I mean, look at this beautiful short right here. Okay, now I didn't take it. I totally missed it. Pretty sour about that. As you can see on the intraday chart, people took this trade and they shorted it, and then eventually it failed. Late day before the close, they started covering, and then I think we have another wave of short sellers coming in around this area at 44.20. It looks like, right? That's the reason why it dumped so hard, and then they haven't covered yet because there's no pop. If I were to short here at this 44.20, I would risk, like, they have a proper 10-cent risk, which is actually also the prior high of days, right? So that makes 44.30s their line in the sand or their stop out. If the stock does get back and above, this could squeeze, and it could squeeze all the way back up here to the 45. That's how it relates. The 45, where it all started, okay? From there, if it does squeeze up and above, then I'll be looking for the 45 to short. However, if it pops up tomorrow and it tests this area again, this resistance area, I will be looking for a short, just because SSR is over. Another reason for me to short, the short should be a little easier. And scrolling back, we have a massive gap fill that I talked about. I believe I talked about yesterday or the prior day before. Look at this gap right here in 2016. Okay, see this gap right here? Massive gap fill. Okay, so I'm looking for this gap to fill, and I'm looking for the short. Let's see, support areas. 43.50, pretty key support area. Make sure you mark that off. If it starts holding 43.50, you got to be very careful about your short. What I'm looking for is a cover pop at the open and then re-short it, ride it all the way back down to 43.50 first target, and then right here around the 43.25, and then 43, and then down to the lows, right? So many potential plays here. A squeeze and a long if it holds this 43.50 and it double bottoms and starts holding and started to ride back up again, right? Okay, so that's ATVI. Next up, we have SKX. Positive earnings reaction, super overextended right now. Scrolling a little bit, it topped out after hours at 33. So that's a key area to watch, right? Also, as well as 32 is a psychological whole number and daily chart support. Now, where is 32? Let me show you. It's right here. Okay, got a lot of prior resistance, like heavy prior resistance right here, now becomes support. Okay, and zooming in a little bit, we are at the 30, we are sitting above here. We're around this 30 to 75 area, around this area, right? So I want to look for a dip. If it holds 32, long it. However, because it's so overextended, we'll really have to see. We have a major gap that could be filled, not in one day, but it definitely could be filled, right? Look at this major gap right here, right? I don't think it can run anymore because it's so overextended. Uh, Looking at this chart, people have been buying in since the 23 area, and they start buying in anticipating this earnings, right? So they basically hit the jackpot. And I also want to talk about this area right here on in July last year. Okay, so looking at this couple of days, this day specifically, whoever bought the breakout or bought the dip here at 32, okay, the very next day they got crushed. All right, and this is a chance for them to get out. The high of this candle here is 33.50, so I'll be watching that. And then there's also the 34 mark, right? Let me see here. 33.50 I'll be watching, and then I'll be watching 34.50 and 35, right? Key psychological whole number. Let's see here. It's not showing me data from today. The 200 SMA is at 34. Really? Sorry, zoom in. Yeah, it's not showing me the data from today. So it is what it is, but I'll be watching 34 as well. Let me get rid of this here real quick. 34.50 and 35 as well. So key psychological whole number 35 and 34.50. Gonna mark that off. Okay. Why 34.50? Because of this right here. Looking even further back, right? So as overextended as this stock is, can it get up to, I mean, I think maximum it can get up to 35 tomorrow, because that would make that a super duper massive run, right? From 27 today all the way up to 25, 35. That would make it a crazy run. So 35 is where I'm going to call it tops for tomorrow. I'll be watching that. And finally, we have EXPE, Expedia. Once again, another fantastic blowout of earnings reaction play. Currently, the stock topped out here at 144. So let me mark that off real quick. And just to put into perspective how overextended this chart is right now. So there's that 144 area, right? And we are currently sitting at 138. So around there, okay? So this is where we're sitting at, 138. And if you look at this daily chart, look at this run up, right? I mean, we are sitting right here at this candle is what you don't see. This is the massive gap up. People have been, I think the positive earnings is priced in, and tomorrow it's going to sell just because it's so overextended. I personally would like to watch for a pop and drop. Key psychological whole number of 140 first. Okay, so let's mark that off on the daily chart, and I'll show you. It's actually a key mark here on the daily chart. Let me use red here as a resistance mark. So see this area right here, 140, key psychological whole number. I'm not saying that it can't test this highs of 144 again. So definitely watch the 140 and see what it does tomorrow, right? If it holds, and if it holds 140, it could rip some more, right? However, if it drops at 140 or gets stuffed at 140, I want to see a pullback, and I want to target 136 as my first target, right around this area. Okay, as you can see on the intraday chart, 136 held up pretty well. It's actually 136.25, but see, so if it drops out the gates and starts holding this 136.25 area, then you can take a long on it, ride it up, and there are other key resistance intraday levels as well. So 142 right here, which is this area. You gotta make sure you mark those off. Right. I actually want to pull the fibs on this and see what it's doing on the fibs. So let's take that up right here. Yeah, the fibs matches pretty well. I mean, if I delete this moving line and see, I talked about 140 area. This is a Fibonacci level. I talked about this 136 area, another Fibonacci level, right? If it pops and drop, and if this level snaps, this 50% is where it's coming to. I mean, 133.68. So around this 200 SMA here on the 1 minute chart. Interesting level. And then we have the 131.25. Okay, so which is the 50 EMA on my 15-minute chart as well. Very, very interesting Fibonacci's, and the way I do the eye test of identifying resistance and support. So sometimes I use fibs. If I'm lazy, I would use it, right? I think I should use it in conjunction with the way Trick has taught me to plot out support and resistance using just a daily chart. At the end of the day, we want to keep it nice and simple. Don't want too many lines on our charts. I learned to find support and resistance area and trade off these through learning with Trick. And it's not just lines of support and resistance area. I mean, these areas have a very key psychological underlying meaning to them, and this is how Trick taught us to trade. So if you are interested in learning from one of the best, my mentor, you can check out the video links below. I have a discount code for Trick Trades as well. A lot of previous members from the previous chat room that I was in has came over the Trick Trades, and they have nothing but the best to talk about Trick Trades. So don't just take my word for it. Come check us out. And you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys all bright and early tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Ciao.